Have you ever found yourself looking back and wishing you'd kept certain things to yourself when talking with family? Sometimes, the things we share can lead to misunderstandings, strained relationships, or even regrets that we carry as we grow older. If you're someone who values close family bonds but also wants to avoid unnecessary conflict, then this video is for you. Today, I'm diving into 5 personal topics that, for the sake of peace and mutual respect, are often better kept private. Whether it's your deepest goals, financial decisions, or the honest opinions that may be better left unsaid, these insights might just save you from saying something you wish you could take back. Stay with me until the end, because each of these points could help you build stronger, more harmonious relationships and avoid the kind of regrets we so often feel later in life. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. 1. Past major mistakes. Life is a journey marked by twists and turns, by moments of joy, achievement, pain, and regret. Each year that passes adds another layer to our experiences, another chapter to the story of who we are. With time, as we reflect on the lives we've lived and the paths we've chosen, a natural desire emerges, to share our journey with those we hold dear. We want to pass on the wisdom we've gained, the resilience we've built, and the valuable lessons that life, in its many forms, has taught us. This urge to guide our family members, especially the younger generation, comes from a place of love and a deep hope that they may face their own lives with a little more ease and insight. However, there are times when silence speaks more powerfully than any story we could tell. This doesn't mean avoiding the truth or creating emotional distance. Rather, it's about recognizing which parts of our journey to share and which to keep private. Sometimes, in trying to impart wisdom through our own past mistakes, we risk opening old wounds and shifting the way others see us. We may unintentionally burden them with our unresolved pains or alter the way they view us, turning admiration into sympathy or even pity. This choice to hold back isn't an attempt to hide our true selves. Rather, it's a graceful act of self-preservation and a way of maintaining peace in our closest relationships. Consider the story of Mr. Lawrence, a retired craftsman who spent decades perfecting his trade. Known for his hard work, dedication, and skill, Mr. Lawrence had faced both triumphs and trials throughout his life. Years ago, during an especially ambitious time in his career, he entered into a business partnership with someone he trusted deeply. To Mr. Lawrence, this partnership symbolized a new chapter, a chance to expand his work and secure a stable future. He poured his heart, his time, and his resources into this venture, trusting fully in the integrity of his partner. However, he would come to discover that his trust had been misplaced. His partner, whom he had regarded as a friend, was dishonest and self-serving. The betrayal led to a devastating financial loss that left Mr. Lawrence nearly ruined, forcing him to rebuild his life from the ground up. This loss was more than a financial setback. It was a painful lesson in trust and vulnerability. Yet, rather than sharing his burden with those around him, Mr. Lawrence chose to bear the weight of his mistake quietly. Day by day, he worked to restore what he had lost, not only in terms of finances but in his sense of self-worth and resilience. He guarded this chapter of his life, holding it close to his heart, as he slowly rebuilt his life. For years, he carried this memory like a stone in his pocket, a constant reminder of the dangers of misplaced trust and the strength he found in his silent perseverance. As his granddaughter grew older, Mr. Lawrence saw in her a similar eagerness and openness to the world, a willingness to trust and embrace new experiences. Believing that she was at an age where she could benefit from his experiences, he decided to share this painful story with her. He wanted her to understand the importance of caution, of taking care in choosing whom to trust. As he recounted the betrayal and the journey to rebuild, he found himself reliving the pain of that time. He watched his granddaughter closely, hoping that his story would impart a valuable lesson and perhaps prevent her from experiencing similar heartbreak. But as he told his tale, Mr. Lawrence noticed something unexpected in his granddaughter's expression. Her face, which had been filled with admiration and respect, began to shift. There was concern in her eyes, a shadow of pity, even sadness. In her gaze, he saw a reflection of his vulnerability, a reminder of the wound he had tried so hard to heal on his own. Her reaction unsettled him deeply. In that brief moment, He realized that his story had not only offered her a lesson but had also, perhaps unintentionally, altered the way she viewed him. Where she once saw strength, she now saw fragility. Where she once saw wisdom, she now saw regret. This moment left Mr. Lawrence questioning his decision. In trying to guide her, he had reopened an old wound and exposed a part of himself that he had worked so hard to mend. He understood then that not every scar needs to be shown, not every painful memory needs to be revisited, and not every mistake needs to serve as a cautionary tale for others. Sometimes, our loved ones need to see us as pillars of strength and resilience, untouched by certain pains, even if we've had to overcome them in silence. Through this experience, Mr. Lawrence came to a profound realization. There is a delicate wisdom in keeping certain memories private. We don't need to lay bare every hardship we've faced or every misstep we've made for our loved ones to benefit from our experiences. Often, a simple phrase, like "I learned to be cautious," can convey the essence of our lesson without delving into the painful details or risking misunderstanding. Our family doesn't need to see us fully exposed to gain from our wisdom. They look up to us, not for our vulnerability, but for the strength we've cultivated, often in silence. This choice to keep certain stories to ourselves isn't about secrecy. It's about protecting a sacred inner peace. It allows us to guide from a place of strength rather than one of pain. In a world that encourages complete transparency, there is a quiet elegance in holding some parts of our journey close to our hearts. These untold stories, like hidden treasures, become private reservoirs of strength, reminders of the resilience we've gained and the wisdom we carry. Our loved ones may not know the details, but they feel the depth of our calm, the solidity of our presence, and the quiet wisdom that comes from carrying unspoken burdens with grace. By choosing to keep certain memories unspoken, we allow ourselves to exist fully in the present, free from the weight of past regrets. We become examples of what it means to move forward with courage and to face life's challenges without being defined by past mistakes. This quiet strength offers our family a model of resilience, a living example of grace under pressure. Our legacy, then, becomes not one of regret or past failures, but of growth, understanding, and inner peace. In the end, this silent strength speaks louder than any story we could tell. Our family, drawing from our example, learns the subtle art of navigating life's hardships without carrying unnecessary burdens. They see us not as a collection of past mistakes, but as resilient beings who have emerged stronger through life's trials. Our silent legacy becomes a beacon of endurance, a quiet presence that guides them in ways words never could. By allowing some stories to remain unwritten, we give our loved ones a gift that is both simple and profound, the wisdom to navigate their own lives without the weight of our regrets. They may never know the full depth of what we've faced, but they feel the strength, the peace, and the resilience that radiate from within us. This quiet strength becomes a lasting legacy, one that speaks not of past failures but of the enduring power of grace, wisdom, and love. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 2. Minor health concerns. As the years go by and we journey through life's many seasons, it's only natural that we become more attuned to the subtle signs of change within ourselves. Our bodies, once resilient and energetic, now send gentle, persistent reminders that we're not quite as young as we once were. A dull ache in the knees after an evening walk, the familiar stiffness in the back that takes a little longer to ease each morning, or a restless night that leaves us both weary and resolute to embrace a new day. These sensations, though minor, become a quiet part of our lives, shaping our days in small, sometimes surprising ways. When we feel these minor aches or a touch of fatigue, it's easy to share them with our loved ones, seeking a little comfort or even just a listening ear. Yet, it's worth considering the effect our words have on those who hold us dear. Family, after all, looks at us with love and concern. When they hear about our aches or the sleepless nights that trouble us, they naturally begin to worry. In their hearts, they wish to protect us from pain, and hearing of our discomfort may leave them feeling helpless, as if they should do something, anything, to take it all away. Each mention of an ache or restless night can stir feelings of concern that may not always serve to reassure, but rather remind them of the inevitable passage of time. There is an unspoken pattern that can begin to form, where these small discomforts start to redefine how our family sees us. In our desire to be heard, we might unintentionally shape a perception of ourselves as fragile. Yet, choosing to keep some of these minor concerns to ourselves can be an act of quiet love, a way to protect the joy we share with our family and let them see the resilient, vibrant side us. It doesn't mean ignoring our own needs, but rather choosing to emphasize the parts of our lives that uplift, inspire, and reassure us. Consider Mrs. Eleanor, a retired school teacher with a heart as compassionate as the many years she spent shaping young lives. In her 70s, Eleanor fills her days with the joys of gardening, reading, and relishing the precious time she has with her grandchildren. Like anyone who has reached the golden years, she has her share of small aches and reminders of a life fully lived. During a quiet afternoon tea with her daughter, Eleanor casually mentioned the stiffness she sometimes feels in her knees. Immediately, her daughter's caring instincts took over. With genuine concern, she began looking up herbal remedies, researching diets that might ease joint pain, and suggesting everything from knee braces to yoga stretches that could help. While Eleanor's daughter meant only to help, the conversation left Eleanor with an unexpected feeling of being regarded as a patient, rather than the spirited woman she still knew herself to be. In the days that followed, Eleanor found herself hesitant to mention any further discomfort. Each small ache seemed to spark a chain of responses from her family, who, with the best intentions, started to treat her with gentle caution. Eleanor soon realized that by sharing every minor discomfort, she had created an atmosphere of concern that surrounded her family. The loving efforts to support her had started to cast her in a light she hadn't intended, that of someone needing constant care and attention. Reflecting on this, Eleanor made a quiet but powerful decision. She resolved to keep her minor health concerns to herself, choosing instead to focus on the moments of joy and accomplishment that filled her days. When speaking with her family, she began sharing the highlights of her week, the new flowers she had planted in her garden, the book that had inspired her, or the friendly chat she'd had with a neighbor. Rather than discussing a sore knee, she described the walk she had taken around her neighborhood, relishing the fresh air and familiar faces. By shifting the focus of her conversations, Eleanor created a new atmosphere, one filled with warmth, happiness, and the lightness of simply enjoying life. This subtle change brought an unexpected but beautiful transformation. Her family, once preoccupied with every little discomfort, now began to see Eleanor in a different light. Instead of viewing her through the lens of her aches, they saw her as the strong, independent woman she had always been. To Eleanor, this wasn't about hiding her reality. It was about reclaiming her sense of self and letting her loved ones focus on the richness of her life, not the shadows cast by age. Through this journey, Eleanor discovered a valuable truth. There is wisdom in choosing what to share and what to quietly bear on our own. By reframing her conversations, she allowed her family to see her resilience, her grace, and her enduring zest for life. She found herself becoming, once again, the source of strength and joy for her family, rather than a cause for worry. It wasn't that she denied her health challenges, but she reframed them, choosing to focus on what uplifted rather than burdened. In this choice, Eleanor set an example of love and resilience that became her legacy. Her family, now able to see her through the joyful lens she had created, felt closer to her, drawn not by concern but by admiration. When true health challenges arose, they knew they could respond with understanding and genuine support, as Eleanor had only shared what truly mattered. She became, for her family, a living testament to the beauty of a life lived with strength and dignity. For each of us, there are moments when we must decide what to share with our loved ones. Life brings with it a multitude of small discomforts, the occasional ache, the restlessness of a sleepless night, or the stiffness that sometimes greets us in the morning. Instead of letting these moments define our interactions, we can choose to focus on the experiences that bring us joy and fulfillment. When we talk with our family, we might share the excitement of a new hobby, the satisfaction of a project completed, or the beauty of a sunset that took our breath away. By centering our conversations on the positives, we create an environment filled with love, laughter, and a celebration of life's simple pleasures. In time, you may find, as Eleanor did, that keeping these minor health concerns to yourself can be a gift. You allow your loved ones to see you as the person you truly are, strong, capable, and resilient. They will remember you not for the minor ailments of the day-to-day, but for the warmth, courage, and joy you brought into their lives. When genuine health issues arise, they will understand the significance, knowing you only share what truly requires their care and attention. Choosing to focus on the beauty and resilience in our lives is not about ignoring reality but about crafting a legacy. Each day becomes an opportunity to add to a story that uplifts rather than weighs down, a story that speaks of grace, gratitude, and quiet strength. In the end, this choice becomes a gift, a legacy of love that endures, reminding those we cherish that life, even with its challenges, is filled with moments worth celebrating. So let us walk through life with a heart full of love, creating memories that will linger long after we're gone. Memories of joy, resilience, and an unshakable spirit that inspired those we hold dear. This is the legacy we leave, one that reflects not the aches and pains, but the beauty of a life well lived. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. 3. Unfulfilled dreams or wishes. As we journey through life, we inevitably carry within us a collection of unfulfilled dreams, those long-held hopes, desires, and aspirations that, for one reason or another, never quite materialized. These dreams are often quietly tucked away in the deepest corners of our hearts, waiting for moments of reflection or solitude to resurface. They are the fragments of the lives we once envisioned for ourselves, vivid, radiant images of what could have been. Perhaps it was the dream of pursuing a career that truly spoke to the core of who we are, a calling that resonated with our deepest passions and abilities. Or maybe it was the longing to explore distant lands and cultures, to witness the beauty and diversity of the world beyond our everyday surroundings. For others, it was the desire to create something lasting, a legacy, a work of art, or an impact that would transcend our existence and continue to touch lives long after we're gone. Despite their unrealized nature, these dreams are never entirely lost. They remain etched in the fabric of who we are, like faint, shadowy echoes of the person we once hoped to become. In many ways, they hold a kind of quiet, unspoken beauty, a blend of nostalgia and longing, a glimpse into a version of ourselves that could have been. Yet, these dreams can also carry a complex emotional weight. As we share them with others, whether family, friends, or loved ones, they often evoke a sense of wistfulness, even a hint of sadness. We hope in some way that those close to us will understand the depth of what these unfulfilled dreams represent, the heartache and the quiet pride that accompanies them. But this understanding isn't always easy for others to grasp, especially when they haven't walked the same path or felt the same pull of ambition and desire. What is profoundly personal to us can seem elusive or even incomprehensible to those who haven't experienced the same journey. Take, for example, the story of Mr. James, a retired mechanic who, in his youth, dreamed of becoming a musician. From a very young age, music was more than just a hobby for him. It was a passion, a calling. As a boy, he was captivated by the sounds of the guitar, and, with a determined spirit, he worked tirelessly to save up enough money to buy his very first instrument. Every penny he earned from his job, no matter how small, was carefully set aside for this dream. And when he finally had enough, he walked into the store and purchased that guitar, his hands trembling with excitement as he held the instrument in his arms. For Mr. James, the guitar was not just an object. It was a key to a world he longed to enter, a world where music was his sole focus, where he could lose himself in the rhythm and melodies he created. In the solitude of his room, he would strum the strings for hours, sometimes well into the night, completely consumed by the music. There was a deep, unspoken connection between him and the guitar, a sense of fulfillment and purpose that music alone could provide. It was in these moments that Mr. James felt truly alive, as if he were in harmony with the very essence of the universe. His dreams of becoming a musician seemed within reach, and he believed that one day, with enough time and practice, he could share his music with the world. Music wasn't just a pastime, it was his identity, his destiny. However, as is often the case with life's unpredictable course, Mr. James's dreams were interrupted by the realities of adulthood. Marriage, fatherhood, and the responsibilities that came with raising a family led him down a different path, one that was more stable, secure, and reliable. The steady income from his work as a mechanic allowed him to provide for his loved ones, and while this was a source of immense pride, it also meant that his musical dreams had to be put on hold. The steady rhythm of his life shifted, and the guitar, once an extension of his soul, was pushed to the back of the closet, gathering dust over the years. The years passed by, and Mr. James's life unfolded with the predictable cadence of family life, raising children, watching them grow, and experiencing the joys and challenges of marriage. His passion for music, though, never truly faded. It lingered like a quiet echo in his heart, a reminder of the road not taken. Yet, he found comfort in his family, in the love and support they shared. His children grew up, and his career progressed, but the melodies that once filled his days had faded into the background of his life. Now, as a retiree, Mr. James looks back on his life and reflects on the unfulfilled dream of being a musician. He no longer plays his guitar as often as he once did, and when he does, his fingers no longer move with the same speed or certainty they once did. But the music is still there, buried deep within him, lingering like an unplayed song. He reflects on the choices he made, the paths he took, and the things he sacrificed for his family and his future. There is no regret in his heart, only a sense of acceptance. His life has been full of meaning, filled with love and accomplishments that he cherishes deeply. And yet, there is still that quiet longing, that sense of what could have been. When Mr. James speaks of his music to his children, there is a mixture of pride and wistfulness in his voice. His family, while supportive, cannot fully comprehend the depth of his dream. To them, he is simply Dad, the hard-working mechanic who made sure they had everything they needed. They see the man he became, not the man he once dreamed of being. Yet, in his heart, Mr. James holds on to that piece of himself. The musician who never fully emerged, the dreams that never fully bloomed. They remain a part of him, not as sources of sorrow, but as gentle reminders of the passions that fueled his youth and the aspirations that still echo in his soul. And so, the unfulfilled dreams of a lifetime remain tucked away in his heart, a beautiful and bittersweet testament to the person he once dreamed of becoming, and the life he built instead, a life filled with love, hard work, and quiet, unspoken music that will always be a part of who he is. For decades. In the decades that passed, Mr. James dedicated his life to his work, becoming the cornerstone of strength and stability for his family. Through the years, he poured himself into this role, finding pride in the sacrifices he made and the dependability he brought to those he loved. However, there was a part of him that remained untouched, a dream he had long ago, a love for music that had first set his soul on fire in his youth. Though life led him down a different path, that early passion never fully faded. Now in his 70s, Mr. James finds himself reflecting on what might have been, wondering how life could have looked if he'd pursued the music that once captivated him so deeply. One day, feeling a surge of vulnerability and perhaps a quiet hope, Mr. James opens up to his teenage grandson, a young man who holds him in high regard. Mr. James shares the story of his unfulfilled dream, the excitement he once felt when he first saved up to buy a guitar, the nights he spent learning chords by candlelight, and the way music once felt like a calling. As he speaks, his grandson listens intently, yet he finds himself surprised and a bit unsettled. The image of his grandpa, who he has always seen as fulfilled and content, shifts in his mind. To him, Mr. James was a man who had given everything to his family and career, someone who seemed to lack nothing. Hearing about this unachieved dream fills the grandson with a confusing mix of sadness and guilt, as though he might somehow be connected to the dream that went unfulfilled. While he tries to be supportive, he struggles to truly connect with the weight of his grandfather's regret or the longing that lingers in his story. Mr. James senses the hesitation in his grandson's response and feels the subtle distance that his vulnerability has introduced between them. He hadn't anticipated this reaction and finds himself reflecting on what his dream means to him now. Over time, he comes to see his life from a new perspective. Though he once longed to be a musician, he finds no true regrets about the path he chose. The life he built, one filled with love, shared laughter, and quiet memories, brings him a profound sense of peace and gratitude. That dream of becoming a musician is no longer the defining feature of his story. Rather, it remains a quiet chapter, a wistful page in a much larger, richer narrative. He realizes that perhaps some dreams are best kept as personal treasures, private reminders of the people we once were and the potential paths we could have taken. These silent dreams become part of his inner landscape, shaping him without needing to be fully understood by others. Mr. James understands that his grandson, and maybe others too, might interpret these dreams through a lens of sadness or pity, emotions that don't capture the complexity or the quiet satisfaction he feels. Instead of sharing this dream openly, he decides to hold it close, valuing the peace and understanding he has cultivated in his own heart. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Mr. James comes to appreciate these dreams not for what they might have become but for the qualities they cultivated within him. Resilience, patience, and the delicate art of balancing hope with responsibility. By keeping them quietly, he can cherish their significance without overshadowing the life he did lead. A life of purpose, love, and hard-won fulfillment. With this new clarity, Mr. James begins sharing with his grandson stories from his years as a mechanic. The satisfaction he felt in mastering his craft, the joy in building and fixing things, and the pride of creating with his hands. Through these stories, his family begins to see that his passion for craftsmanship, whether through a guitar or an engine, has always been part of him, woven into everything he did. For his grandson, these memories offer insight into Mr. James's journey. He sees the same passion, discipline, and dedication that music once inspired, realizing that fulfillment can take unexpected forms. In these shared moments, his grandson learns that not every dream needs to come to fruition to be valuable. Sometimes, dreams are just small reminders of the richness of a life well lived, and they become quiet sources of strength and wisdom. As Mr. James holds these unspoken dreams close, he allows them to remain beautiful and untouched, a personal legacy that adds depth to his life without casting a shadow on those he loves. His family, seeing his gratitude for the present and his acceptance of the past, gains a newfound respect for the man he has become. In witnessing his peace, they are inspired to follow their paths, understanding that life's beauty often lies in its unexpected turns, the memories we create, and the love we share. Through his quiet acceptance, Mr. James shows them that dreams need not be fulfilled to be cherished, and sometimes they can remain as symbols of resilience, adding layers to our lives without needing explanation. As you reflect on your unfulfilled dreams, consider that they too hold a place in your story, a deeply personal reminder of who you once were and the journey you took. Embrace these dreams as quiet treasures, a testament to the life you've led and the love you've shared. In doing so, you leave a legacy of peace, resilience, and unconditional love, one that will be cherished long after the dreams themselves have faded into memory. And for those moments when we find ourselves disappointed or uncertain about family, our love can become a profound source of strength and quiet hope. We may carry dreams not just for ourselves but for those we hold dear, dreams that reflect our values and hopes for a brighter, more stable life. It's natural to wish our loved ones would make choices that align with what we believe would bring them happiness and security. But as time goes on, we learn that each person must walk their path, guided by their dreams and experiences. In these moments, when their choices differ from our ideals, we might feel a subtle ache, a mix of worry and love that is hard to resolve. These feelings are part of the human condition, especially as we reach an age where our perspectives deepen and we long to pass on the lessons we've gathered. However, expressing disappointment can unintentionally create tension, even when our advice is well-meaning. Too direct a critique can cast a shadow over their aspirations, making them feel unappreciated or misunderstood. Over time, such small disappointments can build up, slowly creating a distance that wasn't there before. Choosing silence over spoken criticism can become a powerful act of love, a choice to honor their individuality, quietly supporting their journey without imposing our fears or judgments. It allows them to feel accepted and free to grow in their unique way. Consider Mrs. Amelia, a retired librarian who dedicated her life to knowledge and stability, raising her children with a love for security. Her daughter, however, had a different dream. She wanted to start her own business, drawn by a sense of purpose and passion, though the path was unpredictable. Mrs. Amelia, concerned about potential hardships, urged her daughter to consider a safer career. Her advice was offered from a place of love, but to her daughter, it felt like doubt, as if her mother didn't trust her ability to succeed. Realizing her mistake, Mrs. Amelia chose to embrace a new approach: quiet support. She stepped back, allowing her daughter the freedom to follow her dreams. Their relationship flourished, with her daughter now sharing her victories and struggles openly, knowing she was fully accepted. Through this journey, Mrs. Amelia discovered the profound beauty of silent support, allowing her loved one the space to grow without judgment. She learned that sometimes love means stepping back rather than stepping in, offering quiet strength rather than spoken advice. For those we love, silent support can be a source of reassurance and comfort, building bonds that are deeply rooted in trust and understanding. In this gentle acceptance, we teach them that true love holds space for their choices, knowing they are free to find their way. 5. Personal plans for assets. When it comes to the assets and inheritance we've carefully accumulated throughout our lives, there is often an almost irresistible urge to share these plans with our loved ones. The desire to provide reassurance to those closest to us feels natural, even responsible. We want them to know that we've made thoughtful arrangements to secure their future, offering them a sense of comfort and security. After all, these assets are the result of years of hard work, sacrifice, and dedication, and it feels like a way of ensuring that those efforts will continue to benefit our loved ones long after we're gone. However, while this instinct comes from a place of love and genuine concern, there are often unintended consequences when these discussions take place too early or are shared in too much detail. Opening the door to early conversations about how wealth will be distributed can, without realizing it, lead to misunderstandings, create unnecessary tension, and even foster rivalries among family members. What we may have intended as an act of love and reassurance can sometimes become a source of anxiety and competition. By choosing to keep our asset plans private, at least until the time is right, we can preserve the natural harmony that exists within our families. This helps to ensure that the relationships remain centered around love, connection, and shared experiences rather than material matters. The goal is to keep the focus on what truly matters, the emotional bond we share with our loved ones, so that the inheritance doesn't overshadow the more meaningful aspects of our relationships. Take, for example, the story of Mr. Robert. After retiring from a long and successful career in banking, Mr. Robert had thoughtfully constructed a modest estate to provide comfort and financial security for his 2 sons after his passing. In his mind, he believed that sharing these plans early would be a gesture of love, a way to assure his sons that he had carefully considered their futures. He envisioned that his openness would strengthen the family bond and bring them closer together, offering peace of mind during what might otherwise be a time of uncertainty. At a family gathering, he revealed his carefully thought-out plans to his sons. He explained in detail how he intended to divide his assets, outlining his vision for their future financial security. Initially, the response from his sons seemed entirely positive. They listened attentively to his words, nodded along in understanding, and even expressed gratitude for his transparency and forethought. It seemed as though Mr. Robert's gesture was achieving the intended effect, bringing his family together, comforting them, and reinforcing his role as a loving father who had always had their best interests at heart. However, over time, Mr. Robert began to notice subtle shifts in his sons and savior. They started asking more and more questions about his investments and how he had managed his wealth. Slowly, these inquiries became more specific, and at times, it almost felt like they were offering suggestions about how the estate could be redirected. It was a subtle shift at first, but Mr. Robert began to sense an undercurrent of tension that hadn't been there before. What had originally been an open discussion of family finances had gradually evolved into something that felt more like an ongoing negotiation. His son's focus, once grounded in the closeness of family, seemed increasingly fixed on the inheritance and how it might be adjusted or altered. The frequency of these questions and the nature of the discussions created a feeling of unease for Mr. Robert. What he had once seen as an opportunity to provide reassurance had, in reality, opened a Pandora's box of expectations and anxieties. Instead of strengthening the family bond, his well-intentioned conversation had inadvertently introduced a strain, one that had begun to erode the loving relationship he had with his sons. The transparency he had hoped would bring peace of mind had led to subtle divisions, causing him to rethink the wisdom of sharing his plans so early. Upon reflection, Mr. Robert realized that by discussing his inheritance plans prematurely, he had inadvertently shifted the family's focus from the love they shared to the assets he intended to leave behind. He saw that, perhaps without even meaning to, his sons had started to view him less as a father and more as a figure managing their financial future. This realization was sobering for Mr. Robert, but it was also eye-opening. It gave him the clarity he needed to take a different approach. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. In response, Mr. Robert decided to keep his plans private from that point onward. He worked closely with a trusted financial advisor to organize his estate and make arrangements that aligned with his values and desires. By keeping these plans to himself, Mr. Robert freed himself from the burden of constant explanation and negotiation. More importantly, he was able to re-establish the relationship with his sons on a more meaningful level. Instead of engaging in frequent conversations about finances, he chose to focus on what truly mattered, spending quality time with his sons, building new memories, and deepening their connection in ways that went far beyond financial discussions. In doing so, Mr. Robert removed the weight of inheritance from their interactions. Their time together became about love, laughter, and the shared experiences that had always been the foundation of their relationship. Rather than being consumed by financial concerns, they were able to simply enjoy each other's company, knowing that the future would take care of itself in its own time. Choosing to keep asset plans private, in this case, was not about withholding affection or trust. It was, instead, a recognition of the delicate balance that must be struck when it comes to finances and family. Even with the best of intentions, discussing wealth can easily cloud the true value of relationships. When the focus shifts from love and connection to material value, the very foundation of family can become strained. The conversations that were once intended to bring comfort can inadvertently create division, misunderstandings, and resentment. When each family member begins to compare their share of the estate to others, the love that once existed can be overshadowed by the complexities of wealth. By waiting until the time is truly right to discuss asset plans, we can protect the harmony within the family and ensure that each moment spent together is one of connection and love, not concern about what might be left behind. This approach also reduces the risk of potential misunderstandings that may arise when plans are disclosed prematurely. Every member of the family has their own needs, aspirations, and challenges. When these plans are shared too soon, the dynamics can shift, and feelings of resentment or rivalry may creep in, even if no one intends for it to happen. One family member may feel entitled, another may feel neglected, and what was once a loving relationship may begin to feel like a competitive landscape. Instead of focusing on assets, we can leave a more meaningful legacy by imparting the wisdom we have gained over the years. By teaching practical life skills, such as financial management, the importance of budgeting, or the value of financial independence, we can equip our loved ones with the tools they need to succeed on their own, without ever needing to refer to our wealth. This kind of knowledge can become an enduring inheritance, one that continues to impact the lives of those we care about long after we're gone. After Mr. Robert decided to keep his inheritance plans private, he found new and deeper ways to connect with his sons. Rather than focusing on his estate, he shared his knowledge on how to manage money effectively, how to save, budget, invest wisely, and build a secure future. These conversations were not about his wealth, but about how to navigate the world of finances without relying on a financial windfall. As he passed on this invaluable knowledge, his relationship with his sons grew stronger, rooted in care, mutual respect, and a shared understanding of what it takes to succeed in life. In doing so, Mr. Robert was able to cultivate a bond with his sons that was far richer than any inheritance he could leave behind. Instead of being tied to financial expectations, their relationship became one of growth, empowerment, and shared experiences. The lessons he imparted gave them the confidence to build their futures, without feeling beholden to the legacy of material wealth. This created a deeper connection, one that was grounded in love, trust, and the shared understanding that true wealth lies in the experiences, lessons, and bonds we build with one another. Choosing to keep asset plans private also grants us the freedom to adapt our plans as circumstances change. Life is unpredictable, and by maintaining privacy, we give ourselves the flexibility to adjust our plans without feeling pressured by external influences. We can ensure that our legacy aligns with our true values, making decisions that bring us peace of mind and security. When the time comes to share these plans, we will do so with confidence, knowing that each decision was made thoughtfully and in alignment with our long-term vision. Before feeling compelled to discuss your estate plans with your family, take a moment to reflect on the deeper value of focusing on what truly matters: the love, respect, and connection you share with those closest to you. Choosing to keep asset plans private is not about secrecy or lack of trust. It is about preserving the foundation of family relationships and ensuring that those connections remain strong, without the complications of financial expectations clouding your interactions. Through shared time, laughter, and understanding, you will create memories that will be cherished for years to come, memories that will live on long after material wealth fades. Family is not defined by the contents of an asset list or a will. True family is built on a foundation of love, compassion, and mutual respect. By protecting the personal nature of your asset plans, you ensure that your loved ones continue to see you for who you truly are, a source of wisdom, strength, and unconditional love. The legacy you leave behind will not be measured by the size of your estate, but by the love and understanding you shared throughout your life. In choosing to keep your asset plans private, you are creating a timeless legacy, a legacy that your family will carry in their hearts long after you're gone. This is the true meaning of inheritance. Not what you leave behind, but the love, wisdom, and care that lives on in those you have loved. Let your legacy be a reflection of your deepest values so that when the time comes, your family will remember you for all the right reasons, not for the wealth you accumulated, but for the love you gave freely and abundantly. Ultimately, when we choose to keep our asset plans private, we protect the essence of what matters most: our relationships, our shared experiences, and the legacy of love we leave behind. It's a choice that honors the deeper connections we have with our loved ones and safeguards the true value of family. Through this decision, we ensure that the most precious inheritance we can offer is not a sum of money or assets, but the enduring bond of love, wisdom, and shared memories. Thank you for watching. So, what have you learned so far about the importance of keeping certain things private with family? I'd love to hear from you. Comment below with one thing you've learned and plan to bring into practice in your own life. If this video resonated with you, please leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Your support means a lot to us, and we can't wait to share more valuable insights with you.